of the coin that we're in right now, the corona crisis, whatever you want to call it, all the stuff that's going on all around the world. And I invited 3 amazing experts from different parts of this globe to share some strategies and stories with us. So I have on the top left, I think, Doris Bullus. Originally, you're from the UK, right? But you live in Switzerland. Okay, good. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do, Doris, please?
Yes, I'm an inner strength expert, and I'm helping people to shift the way that they think and talk to themselves. So, that voice that just doesn't stop talking. And I'm just asking the people, how much do you believe that voice? And the main thing really is that we're always worried what other people might think or say. But we give so little attention to how we think and talk to ourselves.
That's very interesting. Little voice. Yes. Big time. Thank you, Doris. Which part of the UK are you from originally?
I'm Swiss.
Oh, you're Swiss, right? Your husband is Swiss.
Yes.
Okay. Good. By the way, pardon my outfit. I'm going to go walk my dog after. So this is the quarantine outfit. And it's very warm where I work. And then we have on the bottom, your left, I think, is Anja Stieber from Allgäu, Germany. Can you please let us know a little bit about what you do?
Yes. To keep it short, I'm a mentor and coach for leaders, for the business people and private people, and I'm a mind shifter. That means when people run self-sabotaging programs, I help them crack it and create a mindset that's really helpful.
Nice.
Yeah, meaning in today's situation, how am I able to shift my mind to make the best out of our situation we have right now with Corona? It's a really challenging job.
Right.
And that's what I do. I help people make it easier and shift from their head into their heart, because when people are in their heart, life is easier no matter where they are and what situation they are in.
Okay, wow. So we have similar topics,
yes,
Doris and yourself. Super important. I'm really curious to hear what kind of strategy or practice you brought to the show today. Let's acknowledge a couple of guests. We have Katja Hansel here from Italy, Marlis Schmidt from Berlin, and Kyle Bullus, of course, from the Soiliamt. Hello, everybody. And please feel free, any of you joining the call, to ask some questions to any of us, and we'll do our best to answer them. Marlis Schmidt from Berlin and Kyle Bullus, of course. Okay, what happened now? Hello, don't click on that button because you're going to have feedback. Otherwise, I have to mute you. Which one of you is... There you go. All right. And then we have on the bottom right, Hugh Osborne. Can you tell us where you're from, please, and what you do?
Sure. So I'm originally from London, but I live in Zurich. I have my own therapy practice in Zurich, and I work personally as a coach and hypnotherapist, helping mostly entrepreneurs and freelancers to find personalized solutions for addiction problems. So, rather than having to pay for expensive rehab or to have to commit to going to meetings and things like that, instead they work with me and they find a way out of addictive behavior back into creativity, productivity that works in harmony with their life and their values, where they're
at. Okay. Any kind of addiction you're working with?
I work with most kinds of addictions, really. Basically, it's anything that you continue to do, regardless of the fact that it brings negative consequences into your life. So it doesn't necessarily mean alcohol or gambling or something like that. It can be just an addiction to procrastination or spending too much time on social media, so you're not getting on with what your real mission is.
Wow. Okay, so that's very interesting because you addressed entrepreneurs. So I was wondering how many entrepreneurs have an addiction. Like the first thing that comes to mind is drug addiction, of course, or alcohol addiction.
Yeah.
But there are so many other addictions. Wow. So we have 3 amazing mindset experts here. One, little voice specialist. The other one, negative sabotaging behavior, and addiction, which is kind of like layer on top of layer. So yours is probably the worst kind of sabotage, when you have an addiction towards something that you cannot quit. Cool. Wow. This is going to be a really interesting call. All right. And we also have Tiffany here, my daughter from upstairs. All right. So feel free to ask questions. We have Italy here. We have Katie Hendricks from the Netherlands and Germany and this one. All right. So let's begin. Doris, would you please share, what have you brought to us today?
I just think that, it's very important of where your focus is also what expands. That's the title also of your broadcast. So that's really is that, you always need to think, what do I do at the moment? Where do I do things that serve me or sabotage me? And when you are going through that process of always going back to your thinking, to this inner voice, what's talking up here at the moment again, then you can always have a choice to make a shift. So you are in the power of really always going through, and I often use breathing techniques just to bring you back to the present moment.
Okay, can you elaborate a little bit on this? How do you help make that shift? I mean, breathing is one. Is there any other techniques?
Another technique that I'm very keen on is the tapping, where you tap the meridians, because that, again, it just really brings you back to the present moment. And I think too often we are thinking ahead in the future, or we're living in the past, but we're not in the now, so we're not in the present moment. And also through the tapping or the breathing, that can really shift very quickly.
That's very interesting. So can you share with us how that works, the tapping? Maybe do it together.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. So, the main thing is that you have, you're starting with the karate chop, it's called.
Okay.
And then you start saying 3 times a statement of where the focus is. Then you go through the head up here, then on the side of the eyes, then underneath the eyes, underneath the nose, the chin, then here by the thymus, and then can't see it too much, well, under the rib cage, right and left, and then on the top of the head. And that's sort of you're following that pattern while you're talking. So you start with the negative emotions or the negative feelings that you have, and then you switch into the positive ones.
So tapping. Okay. So can you repeat it so I can type it in the chat so people can follow? So tapping, we start with the karate bone.
Yeah, karate chop 3 times to give a statement.
Chops 3 times and make a statement.
Yeah.
So, for example, I am healthy.
Yeah, it's more like, even though I can't focus very clearly at the moment, I deeply and completely love and accept myself.
Oh, so it's
even though I feel anxious and stressed, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And even though I feel very stressed with the current situation, I deeply and completely love and accept myself.
Okay.
For example. And then you go to these points, you're sort of talking to yourself while you tap these meridian points.
So the forehead, then the cheekbones.
By the eyes first.
Eye bones.
Yeah. And then underneath the eyes, underneath the nose, then by the chin in that little curve here, then the thymus, under the rib cage, and then the top of the head. And you're always, you're allowing yourself to go through that process. So you talk to yourself why you have that emotion, why you feel anxious, why you feel stressed, and all of that. And it's really, at the beginning when I started with it, I was always following a script or so. And what I thought was really powerful once I started to really just have a conversation with myself. So you just talk why you feel like that and where that feeling is. And all of a sudden you're switching into the positive. It comes automatically.
Interesting.
So, you release. And the main thing is also that you acknowledge that feeling, that negative feeling is there. Because only once you acknowledge it, it can be released. If you're in denial of a negative emotion or feeling, it can't go.
Right. Yeah.
It will always knock on your door.
The more you resist it, the more it resists.
Exactly.
Very good. Thank you very much, Doris. Are there any questions about this tapping process? Then please put them in the comments. Or any of you or Anja, do you have any questions?
I work with EFT also. I created my own version of it, the soul tapping solution. And I can only agree with Doris that this is one of the best methods that I know to really stop that negative self-talk and to get into a more positive mindset. Yes. And I don't know, Doris, maybe you have an example of when where you have released significant things. I have a few in my own coaching practice where people overcame the fear of flying or swimming in a lake, preparing to become an Ironman, and you can't swim in the lake, yeah. And we were able to release those blocks, which is really great for the people who have been living for those blocks for quite some years. How is it with you, Doris? Do you have experiences like that?
Yeah, I myself had some really big health issues last year, and it was mainly with sleeping. I just couldn't sleep more than 4 hours a night, and that really helped me going through the tapping and doing some other work as well. But the tapping really helped me to release that anxiety of not being able to sleep through the night. So that was really big.
Nice. Yeah, if you can't sleep, then
yes.
Well, for me, if I can't sleep, you can just look me out the window the whole day. All right, thank you. Yes.
Anja, can you maybe just explain a little bit the difference that you just said about your soul tapping? What's the difference?
Well, there's a tiny difference, because when I talked about all the negative emotions, the people tell me their problems, they tell me their stories, and I kind of tap into their emotions. And when we go through the first phase, just like you said, we go through all the negativity, and when we end up on the head, I make transformational statements. Let's say I am now ready and willing to release all the inner blockages, all negative structures, any programming, etc., etc. I can do it in German a bit better because I have more of a routine in it. And I have those transformational statements. And after that, letting go from the deepest cell programming in my DNA through my history and through the history of my ancestors to really grab it all, I go into the positivity. How do I live now without this block?
Okay.
And then we go into the positive statement.
Thank you for sharing this differentiation. It's very interesting. Different aspects of it. So let's see. We have some questions here from the audience. Katja Hansel is asking, apart from the tapping and the breathing, which are both amazing techniques, are there any other things one can do? Okay. Yeah, we have about 500 other things we can do. Okay, Anja, have you brought anything else to the show here from techniques of self-sabotage release?
Yes. One step is to make up your mind that you do want to get into a positive mind shift. You want to get into positivity. And once you decided that, yes, I do, you choose a very nice music you like to dance to. And then you dance. Because going into action, like I put on happy, listening to that kind of music and taking my time to dance shows my body and my mind and my spirit that I'm really serious. Mm-hmm. This is one thing. Another thing is to go into the power pose. For some people, it may sound a little weird, but it's been proven that it increases self-esteem,
Yes.
increases empowerment, and we all can do it. It's not complicated. It's
Yes.
not complicated to choose good upbeat music and dance to it. It's not complicated.
Mhm.
And we can also just rub our pain point here. It's called pain point because it usually hurts when people start doing it.
That's
Yeah.
true.
And all you say is, I release all negativity and just let go of it all.
I noticed you're doing it clockwise.
Yeah, you can do it the other way around, but I think for me, clockwise feels better.
So where exactly is this pain point? Underneath the collarbone?
It's under the collarbone, about a hand width. Pretty much right here, but you'll find your own spot. Some people find their spot a little bit more to the side, others more towards the middle.
And
My
why
is
does
here.
it hurt?
Excuse me?
Why is it a pain point? Do you know?
No, it comes out of the traditional Chinese medicine.
Ah,
And it is one of those central points in the meridian system.
right.
Yeah, and it generally hurts. And it's also called a healing point because I can't explain. I'm just using it and it helps.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Anja. That was very okay. So decide and choose that you want to shift now, because it's all a choice. Mindset is a choice.
Yeah.
And then pick a positive music like you have happy, and dance to it, and also go into the power pose. Yeah, the yoga pose where you look up.
Yes.
Both your arms like this. Katja Handel says we also call it the superhero pose. Yeah,
Very good.
sharing that exactly. And Kyle Bullus said that he heard a lot of woodpeckers tapping in the forest this morning. I think it's just Kyle being Kyle, right, Doris? What else do we have here for a comment? Harry says the Kung Fu karate hands. Yeah, so that's the tapping, the karate bone. And Marlis says, like this tapping, it brings your awareness to the body, not possible to focus on negative thoughts then. Very good, yes. And we talked about it last week also when I shared the book, amazing book, Come to Your Senses by Stanley Blocks. And he talks about bridging, where he says the simplest method is to kind of like start to feel what you're feeling in the moment, your backside bones, your cloth. You can rub over the cloth. You can kind of like feel a pencil. Start feeling what you're feeling right now, and this brings you to your physical body, and it also helps to focus on something totally different. Yeah, so those are all different techniques from all over the world, but they all come to the same basic foundational piece.
Yeah.
Like live in the now and feel yourself again, feel your body. Cool, amazing. Thank you very much for sharing, Anja and Doris. Now what have you brought for a gift to us today?
Interesting, good question. Well, first of all, I think it's very good to have techniques like tapping, so you have some control over what you're feeling. What I would bring today is that as much as it's important to remain positive right now, it's also important to acknowledge that many people are going through a kind of grieving process, because life is just not the same as it was 3 weeks ago. So as it stands at the moment, we don't really know what kind of world we're going to come back to once things settle down. Hopefully it's a good, positive one. But in this time, I think it's a time to reconnect with what really matters. I see it as a time for releasing artificial needs, because I'm seeing, for one, actually how little I need compared to what I had. And perhaps my approach to any of the negativity, the difficult feelings, the fear, is to get into a dialogue with that. There are times when I want to magic it away, but there are also times where I want to really listen to that voice, where that's coming from,
So what do you mean get into a dialogue with your little voice or your inner critic?
Yeah,
or
my critic, or whatever you call it, the beast in the basement, whatever you want to, however you want to address it, because then you're going to come sort of face to face with something that's really worth seeing a lot of the time. If we take the kind of presupposition that everything is arising with a positive purpose, then what's that positive purpose there behind that voice that's telling you to buy 30 packs of toilet paper, or 20 bags of pasta, or that's telling you to do whatever, protective measures. There's usually something down there that is worth listening to underneath all of the kind of clamor and chaos and fear. So that would be my suggestion, to kind of get into a dialogue with this.
Can you give an example? So what does that look like, a dialogue with yourself, for our audience to clarify?
Okay, well, if I do that, I do it spatially. So I might set up another chair and place the fearful part of myself in one of the chairs. And then
so imagine the fearful part of yourself sits in the chair. Okay.
Yeah, imagine it. You can kind of, if you want, you can sit there and kind of connect with what's going on in your body. Where's the epicenter of this fear, this anxiety, and then imagine that you could sort of project it across. Imagine we live in the Matrix, the film with Keanu Reeves, and you can do about anything. So put it over there. If all you would be this fearful, anxious, toilet roll grabbing person, what would you look like? And you can get in a dialogue with that part, and you can switch around and see what's going on there. See what's really happening, because often it's a paper tiger. It's not a real kind of monster or beast that lives within us. It's not really afraid. That's just the expression of it. So get in there and listen to it, see what it has to say.
Thank you for sharing. This is very interesting. Are you saying that you would kind of like detach this piece from you a little bit by sitting it across from you, or is it more about getting in touch with it?
Yeah. So I think, in a way, when you're sort of too close to it, when it's got you, you can't relate to it.
Right.
Yeah. If you get too dissociated from it, by like doing affirmations and things like that, there's nothing wrong with affirmations. They have their place. But if you use them to dissociate, then you can't relate to it either. So that's when it becomes the kind of toxic positivity. So if we have just the right distance, so we can relate to that aspect of ourselves rather than from it, yeah, then that's where the magic happens.
Okay. So you're saying, what do you mean by toxic positivity?
Okay. Well, sometimes there are things in life that aren't that great that need addressing. And if you're kind of busy polishing all of the shiny pieces, but not addressing the things that need addressing, then, yeah.
So toxic. Okay, like painting an old house twice instead of...
Yeah.
A new facade or something.
Papering over the cracks, as we would say in England.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, toxic in terms of when you're just denying something is there that needs addressing. Yeah.
I've seen this a lot. I think in the therapy and coaching communities, we've seen the best of it in recent times, and we've seen the worst of it.
Yes.
Yeah. So. The worst of it is the people that J.K. Rowling called out the other day, to various life coaches who were shaming people for not being productive during this time. Yeah. And then there's the people who are coaches who are kind of reaching out to help. What do you need? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Support. That's what people need.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Very, very, very interesting conversation. Do you have any questions for you or Anja or Doris? Please put them in the comment. You guys are awfully quiet, very attentive. Or
I had an interesting coaching today, and with my client, I talked about extroverted and introverted people. And it seems like that the introverted people really have a good time right now in their home offices. And those introverted people that I have in my coaching practice say that they can get more done in less time and they're happy. And the extroverted people, that are the ones who are actually challenged because they cannot reach out enough.
Right.
And the client I talked to this morning, she said that she is missing that touching feeling, you know, that getting close, because she is so used to being with her team. And I thought it was really interesting to explore what would help her to feel better, because she cannot be with her team. They're all in their home offices.
Do you have an advice or any tips for an extrovert?
Yes. One tip is, if you are allowed to get out, for example, when you go shopping, make as much eye contact as you can.
That's
hold it a little bit.
Yes.
Because when we look into each other's eyes for a little bit more than a few seconds, we connect.
Right.
That feels good.
Yes, and that doesn't have to be dangerous or contagious.
Yes.
Very good. Eye contact. Thank you. We have a question from Harry here. He says, how can I put my day-to-day rubbish beside while doing a short break and reset priorities? What do you mean exactly by that? Your day-to-day, so kind of like reset and stop thinking about what you're dealing with right now? Is that what you're asking? Hope I got that correctly. I don't know. Any of you have an answer to that? Put my day-to-day rubbish beside. So let's assume it means kind of like switching your mind off from the stuff that you're doing right now.
So he wants to like park the load for a while.
Park the rubbish on the side.
There's lots of ways to do that, right?
Yeah, just park it.
There's lots of ways to park it.
Why don't you just give it to the people picking up the garbage next time?
Yeah, I mean, one thing that Anja just said is the dancing. Always, and you know, just play some music that you really like, and you immediately feel the shift of your emotions and your carousel that's going on, where you are trapped in the negative thinking. So that's one way of the garbage. Or it's more about, you know, the awareness. Just have a look outside with all the blossom that's here right now, and have some joy with that.
Yeah, constantly choose to put the rubbish on the side.
Yes.
So we have many good strategies on this call. So the tapping, the talking to yourself, the deciding, and another comment from you, I really love that we really actually find out what we really, really need now. So now that a lot of stuff is stripped away and we can't do it anymore, do we really need to go to a restaurant every other day? Or do we really need to go to the hairdresser every week? Or do we really, I mean, I'm not discounting this stuff. It's just questioning ourselves and possibly seeing what's really important. All right. Amazing. Amazing call. So I should play some heavy metal then. Yeah, go ahead, Harry. Play some heavy metal if that's what your thing is. Whatever gets your energy on the positive side. Well, yeah. There's heavy metal and heavy metal, so I'm sure you're going to play the positive heavy metal. All right, so let's end this round. You've been amazing. Thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you.
Similar topics, but very different approaches, and that's what makes this so interesting. So let's end with a good quote, shall we? And I'm going to put it on the screen. And with a good quote, one of your favorite quotes that fits into this whole thing we're dealing here.
I have one.
Okay.
Life does not get better by chance. It gets better by change.
Life does not get better by chance. It gets better by change.
Yeah, it's from Jim Rohn.
Does not get better by chance. It gets better by change. Nice. All right, let me see if I can. There you go. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Very nice. Let me also put it in the comments. And what about you, Anja?
Mark Twain said, I had many worries in my life, but most of them never happened.
That's a good one. I love that one.
I like that one too. Mark Twain was very wise.
I had many worries in my life, most of which never happened. I hope I'm spelling this right. Wow, I'm learning new perks about this Be-Life tool every day. Okay, what about you? You.
The one that immediately comes to mind is the Younger quote, which is, until we make the unconscious conscious, it will guide our lives and we will call it fate.
Wow. Until we make the unconscious conscious, it will guide our lives.
And we will call it fate.
Mm-hmm.
And we will call it fate.
Yeah. So now's a good time to make whatever's unconscious conscious, because we've got a space to do that. And that's a good thing for the extroverts to do. You've got some space to do it.
That's true.
That's right. Natalie, I have also something else, if I may.
Go ahead. You can use mine today, because I can't think of anything I haven't shared yet.
Okay. You said what we focus on expands.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we have now a time where it really feels like a reset, because we all have to reset. And maybe we should all take the opportunity to increase a positive mindset and really focus on the world we all dream of, to increase the possibility to make it happen, rather than worrying too much, creating worst case scenarios. I would like to call up everybody to create the best possible scenario we can think of to help change the things that we have created in the past that were not so great.
Nice. Yes, 100%. This is what the show is all about.
Mm-hmm.
It's not here to discount all the hardship that people are going through at all, but it's to kind of shift from thinking about that to thinking about the stuff that still works. And like this community here of coaches, I mean, I call that, and every day I have different people that want to contribute and share. And there's no money involved here at all, just some work. But it's amazing what happens. And this is exactly what, yes, Anja said too. Focus on the world we all dream of, and we can create something really good together.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you guys have been incredible. Very interesting show today. Thank you very much. If you want to reach out to the speakers, please do. And I'll see you, some of you, again tomorrow, 1:30.
Bye.
Bye.